In 2003, we were the first set of national legislators in this republic. Now, the circumstances of us going to the National Assembly was different from what happened thereafter. We were babies of circumstance. Nigeria was transiting from military to civilian governance. And of course, coming from the Southwest, the Southwest leadership of the party of AD had to put their best materials forward. We weren't going to National Assembly because we were looking for money. Majority of us, God had been good enough but to go and represent the interest of Yorubas. As a matter of fact, in those days, if there were important policy matters to be decided upon in the National Assembly, we all had to come to Ijebu to meet the Afenifere leadership, to table what was coming up, and we would decide there, under their guidance, as to what to take back. So we had, I don't want to be modest, to call it qualitative representation, but thereafter, parties started taking people out there. Today, I mean, no, except for maybe Senate President Bukola Saraki, no legislature has had the balls to take on the President of Nigeria like we did in the House of Representatives. And at a point, we were ready to impeach President Obasanjo because he still believed he was a military head of state. And we said to him, this is not a military government, this is representative government. But all of that is thrown aboard. Secondly, we had no hidden money that we were collecting. Today, nobody can put the fingers on what is being taken in the National Assembly. And that made me become an advocate, and I've been shouting this at the rooftop, of part-time legislative duties. The world is a global village now. You can, if you have part-time that legislators meet only once every quarter for a month, pay each of them 5 million naira for that 1 month. Accommodation, drivers salary, drivers accommodation, all the work taken care of. Not one additional dime. Provide secretariat to the National Assembly. When you send the bills, if you have 4, 5, 6 bills, the most important bills always emanate from the executive. Let's face it. If you have private members' bills, most of the time, they're not as important as the bills that come from the executive. And once you send them out by emails, and everybody receives them, you can go through them even before you resume. And if you go through them before you resume, the first day you get in there, you can go through the first and second readings. And then you can distribute them into committees and give committees two weeks to work on them. And then you come back after 2 weeks to have committees of the whole, to have a look at them and do line by line reading. By the end of 3rd week, it's ready. You take it to Mr. President, and he assents to it, and after 4 weeks, go back home. It wasn't a question of leaving so early. In 1999. And this is very interesting. On the day Baba Desoya, Baba Onosan, may their souls rest in peace, came to Abeokuta to flag off Chief Oshoba's campaign. Apparently, they stopped by in Senator Okumu's house because he wanted to be governor, but he didn't get a ticket. To now appease him and ask him, what would you want to be? And he said, we'd like to go to the Senate for 1 term. So when we got to Ake, at the venue of the campaign. Baba Adesoya said I should go and see Baba Onosoya. Baba Onosoya said I should see him the next morning at 9 o'clock in his house in Surulere. So I got to his house at about 10 minutes to 9. You know, Baba Onosoya's daughter is married to late Chief Tunde Oshunride, who was Baba Obasanjo's close buddy. And so as I came in, I saw Chief Oshunride and Chief Obasanjo driving out of Baba Onosoya's house. And Baba took me to his bedroom upstairs. And you know, in Yoruba land, when an elder invites you, and he begins to talk in circles, and he doesn't look at your face, you know, he has some bad news for you. So I just said to him, Baba, give me the bad news, let me go, sir. And he said, he gave me the story of what happened the day before, what transpired the day before. And he said, we have considered the senatorial seat to Senator Okoromo, to Dr. Okoromo. We'll go for a term. And I thanked him. And I stood up to go, and he said, come back, come back. You didn't even have any complaint. I said, no, who am I to complain? This is about leadership. And he said, you will go to the House of Reps for 4 years, and then you can aspire to the Senate thereafter. And I thanked him profusely, and I left. So 4 years later, I wanted to run for Senate. I was offered the seat to the House of Reps back again, but that wasn't what I wanted. And because it was, to me, it wasn't about going there to make money. I wanted to represent. Because even the 4 years I spent, what has now become the Security Trust Fund was a bill I took to the National Assembly in 2000. It was my private member's bill in 2000. Reason being that I was not born rich. My father was a bloody sergeant in the police force. I was a barrack boy, and I knew what life was like in the barracks. And I knew what policemen were suffering, and I knew that if you want somebody to look after lives and properties, you have to make him comfortable, you have to provide for him the tools to work with. And there must be the possibility that in case anything happens to him, his family will be adequately compensated. And so, to me, if I could achieve that in the National Assembly, the primordial responsibility of any responsible government is protection of lives and properties. Let's cast our minds back to the days of the Accordians. The government in power will abuse them. They will use them only to their advantage. They will use them to their advantage. Yes. Because as long as they are being paid by state governors, the state governors will use them for whatever they want. The same thing is happening.
Because if you look at it globally, sir,
yes,
Nigeria is the only federation with decentralized police. America, in fact, Britain, with 60 million people, have 44 policing units.
I know that because I'm British. So I mean, come on. The thing is, because you are dealing with people who are, with due respect, with the words I want to use, civilized. And they are not brutish. When you deal with people who take advantage of situations they find themselves in, why do people steal money? Because they're in office. Why do people intimidate others? Because they're in office. I do believe that we should have state police, or we should have decentralized police system. You bring a northerner here to come and police Ogun State. What is it about Ogun State? But, provided there be special provision for the police force to be independent in the funding. If the funding is independent, then the force will be independent. And then you can get the best out of them. And one more thing before you ask the next question. When you talk of part-time service or governance, you'll be shocked that you, madam, you will decide to say, let me go and be a councillor in my village because I want to contribute. Either of you here who is retired, just for the kicks of it, will say, let me be local government chairman to serve. Not that these days or in the past we have made I've seen a situation where a butcher became a leader of a house in the council. I saw it. I mean, yeah, live in this open state. So if you have independent state police, there must be ways and means by which people, the topmost person there will be interviewed by elders in the area to say this man is fit and proper to be there. And it goes down the line. That's simple. Okay? With that, and if they're independent, and in the process also create a role for traditional institutions. Well, I'll start off by saying I'll answer the latter before the former. I'm still a politician. I'm a member of APC, but I'll be 72 in March. I should begin to take a back seat and watch younger people come out there and go and deliver, because they are supposed to be our greater tomorrow. I went to National Assembly, I was 49. So I think that there must be room. In fairness to the governor of Ogun State, he made me offers of appointments, etc. And I said, no, we have younger people we can give positions to. But if you give me a good position in Abuja as a chairman where I can contribute, I'll go. But I still don't know. Because to me, it's not about taking office. I run this office. I have another office you came to see me before. So how many offices do I have? Now, I come back now to the former. I won't say an assembly is a rubber stamp. What comes out of the assembly in terms of output is a function of the people who are there. If, because the executive controls the purse, you always want to go to the executive to ask for money or for money or funding. Once you take one, then you play it into their hands and they become your puppeteer, puppet master. Yeah, simple. Rubber stamp or no rubber stamp, I will not use such language. I will not say that about people. I'm a ranking member of National Assembly. Whatever I say about National Assembly also comes back to me. But I just think that at certain points, you see, there's a point I left out. How many of the people in National Assembly have called town meetings or town hall meetings for people to say, we have this matter, what do we do? All you see them do is say, I have constituency project. Constituency project is not their money. Don't hook windows. I've been there. It's not their money. How many of them have come to us during sessions to say, this and this and this is going on, what do you people think?
Did you do that very well?
Yes. Yes. Even during our time, when we opened our constituency offices and hired staff, ICPC came into all our offices when we never expected, not once, not twice, not 3 times. To see that every equipment that we bought were bought, and to see that the staff we claim we have are all there. They interviewed them, they spoke to them independent of us. Secondly, how many of them do we see? Let's cast our minds back to the days of the accorders. The government in power will abuse them. They will use them only to their advantage. They will use them to their advantage. Yes. Because as long as they are being paid by state governors, the state governors will use them for whatever they want. Then the same thing is happening.
Because if you look at it globally, sir,
yes,
Nigeria is the only federation with decentralized police. America, in fact, Britain, with 60 million people, have 44 policing units.
I know that because I'm British. I mean, come on. The thing is, because you are dealing with people who are, with due respect, with the words I want to use, civilized, and they are not brutish. When you deal with people who take advantage of situations they find themselves in, why do people steal money? Because they're in office. Why do people intimidate others? Because they're in office. I do believe that we should have state police, or we should have decentralized police system. You bring a northerner here to come and police Ogun State. What does he know about Ogun State? But provided there will be special provision for the police force to be independent in the funding. If the funding is independent, then the force will be independent. And then you can get the best out of them. And one more thing before you ask the next question. When you talk of part-time service or governance, you'll be shocked that you, madam, you will decide to say, let me go and be a councillor in my village because I want to contribute. Either of you here who is retired, just for the kicks of it, will say, let me be local government chairman to serve. Not that these days, in the past, we have made I've seen a situation where a butcher became a leader of a house in the council. I saw it. I mean, yeah, live in this open state. So if you have independent state police, there must be ways and means by which people, the topmost person there, will be interviewed by elders in the area to say this man is fit and proper to be there. And it goes down the line. That's the way. Okay? With that, and if they're independent, and in the process also create a role for traditional institutions.
Yeah, we are coming to traditional institutions. But let me ask one question.
Yeah.
Earlier you spoke about your hand in the national assembly, to the point that you were able to look at the president in the House.
Of course.
There is a situation here, the Electoral Act Amendment. It's been tossed here and there. And even now, we don't know where we are. How would you have reacted if you were to be in the national assembly?
Given the relationship between the national, especially the senator, that they told the president, pointedly, anything you want, we will do. And it's been demonstrated.
I mean, the challenge here is very simple put. The new electoral law, if the president had assented to it as it was presented ab initio, I had said it at certain fora that I would have advised the governors to go to court to challenge it. The electoral law, when you say a political and they will decide the mode of selection of their candidates. We had AD. The elders sat in Ibadan, in the Rovers, and chose the presidential candidate, and nobody went to court. They selected those of us who were going to represent the Southwest in the National Assembly. Those who were not taken, nobody went to court. So every party has its own modus operandi. So you cannot sit in the National Assembly. Maybe majority of them now have issues with their governors. And they now say direct primaries because they've made enough money and they think they can buy membership of the parties. To me, that's bullocks. It's a joke taken too far. Right now, as it is, I do not even see any reason why that should have been featured in the Electoral Act. Every party will have its own constitution and its own rules guiding its operations. Why put that in the Electoral Act? That means we are shutting out independent candidature. And you shouldn't. 1999 to now is how many years? Probably 23 years. I think we have gone that far that we can now say we want Mrs. Fajuba to represent us in this area as an independent candidate because she's part of us here. She has done this, and she'll give us quality representation. You don't have to belong to a political party. Representation does not have to be.
Back to the electoral law. Back to the electoral law. What is the president do?
You see, I see all of these things as I see them as a charade. Very pure and simple. It's a charade. Because for crying out loud, what does the National Assembly have? What does it have to do with dictating whether you should have consensus or no consensus or direct or indirect? Come on.
Is that something the president will be told his answer?
No, it shouldn't. In a proper democracy, it should not. Because there must be the respect for each arm of government, provided one arm of government hasn't sold itself off to the other arm.
Are you trying to say that like the statement that the national is only the election? And for what has happened now? That was the police. It doesn't seem the president of the national assembly of the same thing. So what are you saying that that was the statement? Does that not mean that they are not irrelevant? The second one, you have identified in the text in the statement of and the original bill. Is that why you are no longer
Well, I'll start off by saying I'll answer the latter before the former. I'm still a politician. I'm a member of APC, but I'll be 72 in March. I should begin to take a back seat and watch younger people come out there and go and deliver, because they are supposed to be our greater tomorrow. I went to National Assembly, I was 49. So I think that there must be room. In fairness to the governor of Ogun State, he made me offers of appointments, etc. And I said, no, we have younger people we can give positions to. But if you give me a good position in Abuja as a chairman where I can contribute, I'll go. But I said, no. Because to me, it's not about taking office. I run this office. I have another office you came to see me before. So how many offices do I have? Now, I come back now to the former. I won't say an assembly is a rubber stamp. What comes out of the assembly in terms of output is a function of the people who are there. If, because the executive controls the purse, you always want to go to the executive to ask for money or for money or funding. Once you take one, then you play into their hands and they become your puppeteer. Puppet master. Yeah, simple. Rubber stamp or no rubber stamp, I will not use such language. I will not say that about people. I'm a ranking member of National Assembly. Whatever I say about National Assembly also comes back to me. But I just think that at certain points, you see, there's a point I left out. How many of the people in National Assembly have called town meetings or town hall meetings for people to say, we have this matter, what do we do? All you see them do is say, I have constituency project. Constituency project, it's not their money. Don't hook windows. I've been there. It's not their money. How many of them have come to us during sessions to say, this and this and this is going on, what do you people think? Yes. Yes. Even during our time here, except when I went to see my family in England, or we traveled from the house, I spent only 1 weekend in 4 years in Abuja. And except I was away, I was back here in Abeokuta by Thursday evening. I will go to my constituency office, see all the correspondences, see the people who want to see me. I was not running away from the people. Some of them, we don't even know where the constituency offices are. To me, there should be constitutional amendment. People call it structural adjustment. I mean, they call it restructuring. What I think we should have is decentralization of power. Make the center unattractive. Cede powers to the regions. Cede powers to the regions. And when you have decentralized power, let the center handle defense and foreign affairs. The federal government has no business with agriculture, has no business with education, has no business with health. I'm sorry. The health challenges of each area, they vary. Some areas will need more gynecologists than general practitioners. Some will need psychiatrists. The first psychiatric hospital in Nigeria, in West Africa, Aro. That must have a reason to have cited. Yeah. Now, and some of the responsibilities must also be ceded to the grassroots, which is the local government. And each arm of government should be independent, as in totally independent. If the government is paying judicial officers, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. They can make them right judgments. They can coerce them. I mean, take a break. Give me a break. SSS people went to the Chief Justice of Nigeria's residence, harassed him. The next thing he was in Code of Conduct Bureau. The next thing he was forced to resign because there is no independence of the judiciary. The Prime Minister of England will not say that he wants to fire the Chief Justice. So we have to grow. We have to grow up. Well, you see, again, the court case is because I supported the executive order 10 because it gave independence to these arms of government we are talking about. But if the Supreme Court says no, You we are saying we want you to be independent, so that whenever you make pronouncements, we know that they are independent pronouncements. Possibly. But if it comes as executive bill to National Assembly, see, the problem is this. To have a constitutional amendment, you must have concurrence of 24 states House of Assembly. And I think Mr. President, in his wisdom, with his cabinet, they realize that they will not get the 24 states House. The thing is, don't let us put the cart before the horse. The constitution we are operating now, is it the right thing for us? Everybody wants to be president because of the awesome powers that the president of Nigeria has. The most powerful president in the world is Nigeria's president. I'm sorry. He has so much power over life and death. That's why everybody wants to be president. And the people who have been benefiting from Emefiele now want to continue to benefit. I won't say thief. They want to continue with this crap. Give me a break. Look at the governor of Borno State, Zulu. Look at what the former governor, his boss, used as criteria in selecting him to come and govern. Today, I'm not Hausa, I don't care about Hausa or Igbo. Today, the man is a man after my heart. Till today, he doesn't own anything, he doesn't want anything. Who could ever believe that there was so much money going into that state? With the things he's doing. That's the kind of person we need as president of Nigeria. Forget sentiment. A man who is not after his pocket and not after enriching his cronies. People have seen Abuja now. What is the industry in Abuja? Briefcase. Sharimon. Briefcase. End of story. So before we talk about president, let's talk about what is it that we want. Unfortunately, the present crop of legislators will never amend the constitution for part-time legislature before we can enter reset mode. But we need to enter reset mode. What is the future that these young people have? The way things are going. If they don't know anybody, they cannot get a job. There's nothing called merit. There are people who are offered those jobs who don't know jack. So we have to enter reset mode. It was all political. I wasn't ready to be somebody's kite that it was string. Because nobody has brought me this far in life. God has brought me this far in life. And I will not take any office that anybody will dictate to me what I'm going to do. Not at this age of mine. When I was younger, I didn't do it. Not at this age will I do it. It was all about, because of my support for President Abiodun. And what was my reason for supporting President Abiodun? I sat and I was watching television and I saw somebody doing this and counting 40 names of people to represent. All have been written. And I said to myself, is this Alibaba and 40 thieves? Or what is all this rubbish? That without consultation, without talking to us, you just write 40 names? Am I out of my mind? I will fight this to a logical conclusion. I didn't care who was up to God. And when President Abiodun contacted me and I said, listen, you have tried before, you wanted to go to Senate. If you want to go to be a governor, I'll support you. And I'll follow you to the end. I'll support you to the end. I was with him to see the vice president. I was with him to see the national chairman of the party. In fact, when we saw the president, vice president, I was a spokesperson. Oh, yeah. The circumstances of why they implicated me, I've said I will never talk about it. Because you shouldn't talk about it, right? And because of things that I know that I should not divulge. And that's why I refuse to write a book. But fortunately, it was one of those corporals or sergeants who called me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and said, "Oga, I've seen your name on the high security watch list. You have to get out of Nigeria today, but don't go through Nadeco route. Our people are waiting for you in that route." Fortunately, at that time, I was a Lufthansa Senator card holder, and my card was also a credit card. So I called Germany, I called Lufthansa in Germany. I booked a flight, got a ticket, and I took a flight that night. Interestingly, that night, the guys who called me, 4 of them were at the airport, because at that time, they were going to arrest the Nigeria that middle of that night. So as you walk past, you see all those soldiers, they check your passport. And I saw those guys at that edge. And they saw me off to the plane. The last person, I was the last, myself and Raymond Okwesi were the last people to board the flight. In fact, Raymond may not remember this. When we stood at the immigration counter, you know, the SSS Africa, so his passport was on top of mine. So I said, "You mean you don't know Ray Power?" You know, it was new then. And the guy said, "Oh, Oga Ray Power," looked at the face and pushed out 2 passports. So he didn't check.
Your own.
He didn't check the computer. Yeah. Now, the next morning, one young Abu of mine, Dele Balogun, called me and said, "Uncle Bode, have you heard there's been a coup in Nigeria? The idea had been arrested." You'll be shocked that the first person I called, I didn't know he too had been arrested, was Professor Dekunle. Late Professor Dekunle. Was the first person I called. But Ruka, his wife, picked the call. Apparently, the security agents were with her, and they told her to be talking to me naturally. And I said, "This is Amado. Where is Bros?" And she said, "Oh, Bros is sleeping. Bros is not feeling too well." I said, "Ruka, tell me the truth. I hope he's not in danger in any way at all." It was 2 days later I read that he had been arrested. The rest is history. The beauty of it is that in Egbaland, and I will say in Ogun State in general, the 4 paramount rulers that we have are people of impeccable integrity. People who have achieved in their various calls. I mean, I am proud to be Osi of Egbaland to Kabi Salake. One thing that can never be taken from me till I die is Osi of Egbaland. A governor will become ex-governor, former senator. Unless I die, they will not say former senator. So, if I wanted to be senator and God said no, but you have to be Osi, I'm happy with that. Having said that, if you look at the Awujale, the Akaribu, the chartered accountant, a lawyer, a manual chief, the Olu of Ilaro, the man who became a fellow in the Institute of Egbaland, Kabi Salake, but for the military coup that got him retired, was a graduate. He joined the army as a graduate. And the job he did in the villa, you know, those people who do the real work on the ground, but you don't hear them. And he has brought that to bear today Yeah. What I think is important is a constitutional amendment that gives specific roles, like we had in those days the House of Chiefs. The House of Chiefs in those days gave advices because the closest people to the grassroots are these obas or traditional rulers.
But why can't we allow the grassroots to pay them? Because when government pays over, it becomes problematic. Right?
No, it shouldn't be problematic. Government was paying them in the House of Chiefs. Government was paying them in the House of Chiefs. And when they say paying them, how much are they paying? If I tell you how much I earn as Osi of Egbaland, you will laugh. I don't earn up to 100,000 as Osi of Egbaland. Paid by Egba Traditional Council.
When you were appointed, I don't know if and I will let you know why. It was the state government that signed the letter. I was thinking of putting them actually that I want to go. I realized it was the state government.
Yeah, because you have to look, the Chief's Law of 1957, Section 4, Subsection 3, gives that rule, that when the kingmakers have selected the Osi of Egbaland or the Otun of Egba, we are 20 in the chieftaincy committee. When we have been chosen, when we are to be chosen, the prescribed authority in where we come from has to be one of the people to vote in case there is a tie. And it is carried out by the local government. First, a notice will be pasted on the wall for 21 days for anybody who is interested in the title. And then on the day they have a selection. In my own case, if I have Boni and if I have Ologun, 6 of them will have to vote. But where there is vacancy, it will not be filled until that exercise is over. And of course, once the Secretary of the Local Government will represent the local government, write his report, send it to Agura. Agura will send it now to Alake, who will now communicate that decision to government. And of course, it has to go through government because it will go through Ministry of Justice because they have to vet that you are not a criminal and stuff like that. And then when the Ministry of Justice says the person is okay, it goes back to local government, who will put up a memo to council. And that is why it's not a position that anybody can say, I just want to take care. The worst anybody can do is to suspend me. Take me out, I go to court. There must be, we must begin to also move the time. Let's face fact, it does not affect me. Even where I come from, Bagura, we have no problem with Oshugbo or no Oshugbo. But I think it is the worst thing that can happen to anybody. You are preparing to bury your father, and some people just come and say, yeah, paripaye my father, carry the corpse, and you never see it again. It could be traumatic for people.
But their father couldn't inform you.
Well, that was then. To me, look at it this way. Let us assume that somebody is an Oba and he has a young son of about 10 who was there when they were just planning to bury him, and the father's corpse was taken away. It could affect him all his life. It could be traumatic. In my own opinion, I think that people should be given the right to decide how they want to be buried when they pass on. I think they should be given that. Why should I be rating Penpushing to Penpushing? But one thing I must say about Penpushing, which that has endeared Penpushing to me, is the way it is run. There is no special regard for anybody. There is one rule that covers everybody. And that is what I will advise you please continue with. You have one rule. When something is not allowed, it doesn't matter who has posted it, that will be done. It doesn't matter who has posted it, there will be discipline. Any society or association that lacks discipline is a failed state.
Have you heard? And what? That Penpushing Media, a fast-growing media organization, has birthed with new initiative in the media world. Penpushing has landed as eager into the media industry to add value to journalism, which include introduction of live coverage of events across the globe. For further details, you can visit our website www.penpushing.com.ng and email penpushing@yahoo.com. And our mobile phone number is 08073463653. I'll call that again, 08073463653. We are into journalism practice to add value and provide authentic news as it happens globally, and also determined to erase anomalies which include tackling fake news. What are you still waiting for? Visit Penpushing today.